Namaste and good morning, India. Welcome to your daily update. For today's explainer, what we're going to do is take a real-time snapshot of the entire nation. Seriously, we're going to connect the dots between speeches in the Capitol, cases in the courtrooms, military exercises, and yeah, even global events that seem like they're a world away.
And of course, from every single one of us here, a very, very happy Independence Day to you and everyone you're celebrating with. It's a day for immense pride, for sure, but it's also a day for reflection. And that's exactly what we're going to do today. We're going to reflect on the state of the nation as it stands, right here, right now. So, what story does a nation tell on its own birthday? I mean, just imagine, right? If we could hit a giant pause button on the entire country on August 15th and just look at everything that's happening, from the highest offices of government down to the smallest villages, from our courtrooms to our climate, what would we actually see? That's our mission today, to piece together this giant puzzle and really understand the bigger picture. Okay, so every good story needs a beginning. Let's call our first section the overture. This is where we listen to the official voice of the nation. You know, the formal celebrations, the big speeches, and the honors that really set the tone for the day. It's kind of like the nation's official mission statement for the year ahead.
So, on the eve of Independence Day, the president addresses the nation. And you can really think of this as the government's annual report card to its 1.4 billion citizens. President Drupadi Murmu laid out a truly massive vision for India to become a fully developed nation by 2047. That's the 100th anniversary of independence. And she pointed to two key pillars to get us there: self-reliance, or Atmanirbharta, and just huge digital progress. Now, this isn't just fancy talk. It's the official story, the narrative being framed. It's a story of a strong, technologically advanced, and self-sufficient India rising on the world stage.
And a vision like that, a big, bold statement, it can't just hang in the air, right? It needs proof. It needs to be backed up by tangible, powerful symbols. Well, on this day, the president approved 127 gallantry awards. A lot of these went to the heroes of Operation Sindoor, that was India's military response to the Pahalgam terror attack. You see the connection, right? The speech sets the vision, and these awards immediately reinforce it. It's a way of saying, we talk about being strong, and here is the proof. It really solidifies that narrative of a nation that's capable of decisive action to protect itself.
But you know, national strength isn't just about the military. To build that broader picture, check this out. Alongside those 127 gallantry awards, a staggering 1,090 service medals were announced for police, fire services, and civil defense personnel. Now, these are the people who are the very foundation of public safety. Think of them like the body's immune system, always working tirelessly in the background, often completely unnoticed until something goes wrong. Their work doesn't always make the headlines, but it's this consistent, dedicated service that keeps the entire country running. So the overture kind of wraps up with this complete image: a nation that is visionary, militarily powerful, and built on a bedrock of dedicated civil service.
Okay, so that's the official story. The shiny report card, the grand overture setting the national mood. But you and I both know there's more to it, right? What's actually happening behind the scenes, in the noisy, complicated, and absolutely vital engine room of our democracy? What are the courts, the parliament, and the ministries really wrestling with today, on August 15th? Okay, let's dive into this. And here's where you see the sheer complexity of a functioning democracy in real time. Just look at this, will you? This is like the daily to-do list for a nation. In one corner, you've got the Supreme Court dealing with the very foundation of our elections. In another, it's balancing the safety of kids in a park with the welfare of animals. At the exact same time, it's looking into the fundamental rights of the people who build our cities. And then, over in Parliament, the Lok Sabha is using its power to hold government officials accountable. This isn't some theory from a textbook. This is democracy in real time, and it's messy and magnificent. Let's zoom in on that first issue, the Bihar voter list. Now, this might sound a little dry, but stick with me because this is huge. The Supreme Court has told the Election Commission of India to publish a searchable, booth-wise list of around 65 lakh voters who've been excluded from the draft electoral roll. And this is the killer part, they have to list the reason for each and every exclusion. So why does this matter so much? Because, as one source put it, the judiciary essentially just handed every single citizen a magnifying glass. I mean, think about it. It's like a teacher telling a student they not only have to give the final answer, but they have to show all their work. It's a massive leap for transparency, and it makes it so much harder for errors or, deliberate funny business to go unnoticed.
All right, now let's go from something as fundamental as our elections to a problem you might literally see walking down your own street. The Supreme Court is wrestling with the issue of stray dogs in Delhi. So a plea was made to remove them for public safety, and the court issued a directive. But now it's actually considering putting a hold on its own order. This is a classic urban dilemma with absolutely no easy answer. It's a total head versus heart problem. The court has to balance very legitimate safety concerns with the principles of animal welfare. But you want to know the most fascinating part? The court also questioned all the parties involved about why they hadn't done anything before, basically asking, how did we let it get to this point? It's a moment of institutional frustration that honestly, a lot of us can probably relate to.
Okay, let's switch gears from the courts over to the legislature. A BJP member of parliament filed something called a privilege notice against some top officials in Jharkhand. So, in response, the Lok Sabha Secretariat, which is basically the administrative arm of parliament, has formally asked the Union Home Ministry to get a factual note from the state. Now, I know that sounds like a bunch of bureaucratic jargon, but it's a textbook example of checks and balances in action. It's like the school principal, the Lok Sabha, telling one student, the Home Ministry, to go get the real story from another student, Jharkhand. It's the system making sure no single part of the government gets too powerful or operates without any oversight. It's the system working.
And finally, in our little tour of the Democratic engine room, we land on a case that is, well, it's incredibly important. The Supreme Court is looking into a plea that alleges the detention and torture of Bengali-speaking migrant workers. And just look at the sheer scope of this. The court hasn't just sent a note to one state. It has demanded formal replies from the central government and 9 different states. The crucial point here is that this case could set a massive precedent for the rights and fair treatment of millions of internal migrants. We're talking about the people who build our roads, our homes, our cities. This is the Supreme Court stepping in to ask a fundamental question. Does the constitutional promise of protection apply to everyone, everywhere, equally? Okay, so we've seen the official postcard and we've been deep in the engine room, where the daily, messy work of democracy happens. So where are we headed? What's the plan? Let's shift our focus to the future. This section is the blueprint, where we're going to explore the ambitions and the aspirations that are shaping what India will become tomorrow. A nation's ambition isn't just one big thing. It's more like a tapestry woven from all these different threads. And here we have 4 brilliant examples of that. First, there's the ambition for global sport and glory, with Ahmedabad bidding for the 2030 Commonwealth Games. Then you've got cultural pride, a more inward-looking ambition about who we are. We also see ambition in policy, like the big push for a new energy future with E20 fuel. And finally, there's strategic ambition, shown by joint military exercises with a global superpower. Let's pull on each of these threads. This is just a wonderful story. Prime Minister Modi invited 30 players from the World Cup winning Kho-Kho team to the Red Fort for Independence Day, a historic first. Now, this isn't just a nice photo op, it's a powerful, deliberate gesture. Think of it like a huge music festival deciding to put a brilliant local folk band on the main stage. It elevates an indigenous, grassroots sport, a game loved in communities all across the country, and it invests it with national pride. The ambition here is to turn a local pastime into a symbol of Indian culture on a much, much bigger stage, telling the world that our games matter too. Now let's talk about an ambition that's coming from the very top. The government is heavily promoting E20 fuel. That's a blend of 20% ethanol in gasoline. The official line is that it improves vehicle performance and can slash carbon emissions by 30%. A clear ambition for a greener future, right? But the policy is facing immense public skepticism. And this brings up a fascinating democratic tension, which one source posed perfectly. How much say should people have in the policies made for them? It's like a doctor prescribing a new, healthier diet. It might be great for the country's long-term health, but if the public is skeptical or finds it inconvenient, how far can you push?
And this shows the fascinating complexity of international relations. Amidst some pretty well-publicized trade tensions between India and the United States, the Ministry of External Affairs confirmed that the 21st Yudh-Abhyas joint military exercise will go ahead in Alaska. The crucial point is that while the two countries might be clenching their fists on trade, the military handshakes are continuing. It's like being fierce business rivals with someone during the week, but playing on the same softball team on the weekend. It shows that nations can compartmentalize their relationships, pursuing a very pragmatic ambition for strong security partnerships, even when other parts of the relationship are, well, complicated.
After all that big national level stuff, let's bring it all the way back down to earth with a completely different kind of ambition. This is a story about a pair of siblings who, with their father,
took a barren plot of land and completely transformed it. They planted 1,500 trees and created a thriving, sustainable eco-homestay. This is the perfect counterpoint to those top-down government policies. It's such a powerful reminder that sometimes the most inspiring ambitions don't come from a ministry in Delhi, but from the dedication of a single family deciding to build their own small paradise. It's proof that grassroots action can create tangible, beautiful change.
All right, we've got the vision, we've got the machinery, and we've got the blueprint. But here's the thing. No country is an island, not even one with 1.4 billion people. On this Independence Day, just like any other day, India and the world are facing immense, overlapping challenges that just can't be ignored. This is a reality check. Just take a second and let this sink in. All of this is happening at the same time, right now. In Jammu and Kashmir, a devastating cloudburst triggers deadly flash floods. Miles away in Geneva, crucial talks on a global plastics treaty are on the verge of complete collapse. Out in the Atlantic, Tropical Storm Erin is gathering strength. And in Alaska, a super high-stakes summit between the US and Russia over the war in Ukraine is unfolding, making allies extremely nervous. This isn't just a list of separate problems. It's a snapshot of the world's frantic, interconnected newsfeed where crises don't wait their turn. But the key insight here is how two of these events are so deeply connected. The tragic cloudburst in Jammu and Kashmir and the looming threat of Tropical Storm Erin might seem worlds apart, but they're not. They are, as one source put it so well, postcards from a changing climate. We're seeing evidence that the Himalayas are becoming wetter and wilder. Why? Well, a warmer atmosphere holds more moisture, like a bigger sponge. So when it rains, it pours with terrifying intensity. These aren't just local disasters anymore. They are local symptoms of a global fever. Now let's look at that crisis in Geneva. The talks for a UN plastic pollution treaty are stalled, and it's a classic global standoff. On one side, you've got about 100 nations saying, look, if the tub is overflowing, the very first thing you do is turn off the tap, meaning let's limit how much new plastic is even produced. But on the other side, a draft treaty is being pushed that basically ignores the tap and just focuses on building a bigger bucket. It completely omits production limits, which has brought the talks to a screeching halt. It's a reality check on just how difficult it is to get global agreement when environmental goals clash with powerful industry interests. And finally, the geopolitical reality check. The US president and Vladimir Putin are meeting in Alaska. The main topic is the war in Ukraine. Now, the White House is calling it a listening exercise, but that hasn't exactly calmed the nerves of allies, including Ukraine itself, who aren't in the room. Their deep-seated fear is that a deal could be struck over their heads, trading their territory for some kind of peace. It just highlights the incredibly precarious nature of international diplomacy, where the fate of one nation can be profoundly affected by decisions made in a room they aren't even in. And so that brings us to our final provocative question. We started with the celebrations and the proud official vision of a rising India. We peeked into the messy, vital engine room of its democracy. We saw the ambitious blueprint it's laying for the future. And we ended with the sobering reality of the challenges it faces, both within its borders and from a volatile world. So the question for all of us to think about on this Independence Day is this: how does a nation balance it all? How does it hold on to its grand ambitions while grappling with the complex, difficult realities of today? We sincerely hope that by bringing you just the facts, free from bias and spin, we've helped empower you to form your own clear understanding of the day's pretty complex events. You know, in a world full of noise, our mission is simply to provide some clarity so you can connect the dots for yourself. Our ability to do this work, to stay ad-free and totally independent, really depends on the support of viewers like you. For now, this is completely free, so honestly, the best way you can support us is to share this explainer. If you value this approach to news, please consider subscribing over at www.oneread.news and sharing this with friends and family who might also appreciate a clearer perspective.
And to make sure you never miss an explainer, please follow us on Spotify and YouTube. You can catch a brand new explainer every single morning at 8 a.m. ready to help you make sense of the day ahead.
Thank you so much for joining us for this special Independence Day explainer. We really hope we've given you some food for thought. We'll be back with more headlines for you tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Until then, have a thoughtful day. Namaskar.